to the Thursday edition of Community and the Constitution. For those of you in our regular chat room, we also have the chat room open on Blog Talk Radio. So you guys can feel free to join either one or hang out in both. We'll always switch back and forth. Glad to see some familiar faces from last night's first show. Tonight is going to be a little bit different for you guys because a lot of it's we go into on Thursday nights is more advanced and usually cover a lot more of the current event information and other topics we also will have from time to time. And please feel free to do so yourself if you have a skill or knowledge of something specific and would like to share it with us on air, whether it be aquaponics, farming, health issues, whatever the concern, whatever you can bring to the table and you would like to share with everyone, please feel free to do so. And you can always call in at 714-868-0749. If you do want to get on air, please push your number 1 key on your keypad or your telephone, whichever you may be using. And that will let us know that, yes, you want to get on air. I want to start off tonight with, only because it finally dawned on me what it was. I had this first thing this morning, and then I got distracted, and it just finally dawned on me again what I wanted to hit right off the bat tonight. There is so much talk about the gun control issue, okay? Everybody is praising and saying how the so-called Sandy Hook backfired and how the NRA is just in the last month has gotten over 300,000 new members, how gun sales has gone through the roof, ever since Obama started this BS along with, Bloomberg and the rest of them. It all looks great on the surface. And we all want to celebrate and say, yes, we're showing them. Right there, you wanted gun control, look what you did. You became the greatest advocate for gun sales that has ever been seen in the Union. Well, folks, I hate to dim that light, even if it's just a little bit. Those of you guys who have been with us for a long time will understand the game. They, and we covered last night for some of the beginners who they are. They don't think in days, weeks, months, or even years. The shortest term that they think in when they're planning stuff is generations. And this has been going on for a long, long time. And trust me when I tell you, they know exactly how the public is going to respond to a situation before the event occurs. So to us, it may, the general public, it may look like, hey, this is the greatest thing in the world. To them, they're laughing all the way to the bank, saying we got the public right where we want them.
Of course, to them it's a science.
Yeah, with them, all right, they're thinking, and I'm going to change your thinking a little bit in all this. You often hear us talking about learn the truth, learn the facts. Do not react to the way they want you to react. And that's exactly what you did. You reacted exactly the way they wanted you to. More guns on the street means more possibility for an uprising. Be it a coup, be it a revolution, be it a so-called civil war, whatever the case may be. We've all heard the expression, the straw that broke the camel's back. A lot of the public, especially our listeners, we know we've drawn our line in the sand. And when they cross that line, we're going to respond. That's the response that I want you to swallow. That's the response that I don't want you to react to. Now, please, if you're protecting and defending your own, your house, your family, your children, yourself, by all means, do so. But I have a very, very strong feeling that this is all leading up to a large false flag event of some sort that's going to be considered the straw that broke the camel's back, the shot heard around the world type of deal. It's coming, folks, and they're pushing us to this. And the only thing I'm asking is please, please, please restrain yourself to the best of your abilities. We all have our breaking point, but do your best not to give into it, because that's exactly what they want.
Yep.
They already know that they cannot rely on the police to back them up. Most of the officers will not back up the federal government. And we saw that as a perfect example during Katrina, which was the big dry run for gun confiscations. We saw that. We saw how Leo was going to respond. What did they do? They went home to secure their households and make sure their families were okay. And then the military came in. They didn't bring in the regular military. No, we can't do that, because they also know that a good 50% or better of the regular military personnel are already standing up to the federal government, to King Obama, and saying, no, we're not going to follow an unlawful order. They're not going to fire upon citizens. So they already know they can't rely on Leo. They already know they can't rely on the regular military. So what took the place of that? In came the National Guard. And there's a couple of tons and tons, actually, of YouTube videos out on live feed of what was going on at Katrina. And one of my favorite, of course, I don't have it bookmarked, sadly, to share with you tonight. You'd have to find it on your own. But one of them is a young 19-year-old, gung-ho, brainwashed citizen, National Guardsman, who sat there walking down the road carrying his M16, and with a smile on his face says, "Oh yes, we have orders, to shoot U.S. citizens." And he was so proud of that. He was so proud. Look at me, mommy. I'm a National Guard, 19-year-old brainwashed punk who can't wait to shoot a citizen and start a bloody battle here in the Union. Now, if that isn't enough,
yep, I've seen
which
that.
we didn't see come into play so much in Katrina, but you will see, and everybody's have heard about, is also been known and heard as Obama's private army. Well, that would be NORTHCOM. That is not really, I don't think, a branch, per se, of the regular military. That is a private branch, and in addition to, if you will, kind of linked to the whole Homeland Security.
Yeah, kind of like NASA is connected to the Air Force.
Exactly. So these are the people we really have to watch out for. But none of this is going to come about if we don't react. If we don't respond, if we don't react, and they can pull all their false flags, and they can pull all these Sandy Hook kind of events, and the media can spin it any way they want. So stop watching the news. First of all, you're never going to get the whole truth. Okay? That's not going to happen. You're only going to hear what they want you to hear. So don't even bother wasting your time watching the crap. The only thing we need to focus on is truth and law. Okay? The law put us into this mess. the law is the remedy to get us out. We're firm believers here at the People's Awareness Coalition in going to these people in peace. And please, 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 I know it's asking a lot, especially in this day and age. But of every second, of every minute, of every hour, you have but two choices to make. And that's with every breath you take. And that is either to choose love or to choose hate. That's what you have to remember. And as hard as it is, I'm begging the general public out there, please, for everyone's sake, lean towards the side of love if you can. I understand there's going to be times where that's not going to be possible. And that time may come. But as long as we don't respond and react, because the second we do, the second we go down that path, that is the big green flag, the go stop light, whatever you want to call it, for the New World Order to fully take power and control. They're just waiting for us to slip up, and they're doing everything in their power to make it happen. And that's what I want you to think about. Having guns, that's great. Having all these new NRA members and owners, that's great. If you're a first-time gun owner, please get the proper training. Learn how to take care of and clean your weapons. Learn how to handle it correctly. And be comfortable with it. Don't buy it. Have it sitting in a closet somewhere. And then expect the day that you're really going to need it for whatever reason. Think that you're just going to, boom, be able to remember everything, be able to control it properly, be able to, hit what you're aiming at instead of an innocent that may be nearby. Guns are great. They're a lot of fun. I've been shooting since I was 9 years old, folks. Whether you're hunting, whether you're shooting just for fun, enjoying a family weekend, out shooting with the kids and neighbors and shooting down clay pigeons, or you're out there shooting competition. But they are also very dangerous if used improperly, especially when it comes to cleaning and maintenance. So if you buy a weapon, make sure you read all the information on it. Make sure you go to somebody who knows. The guy you purchased it from will gladly walk you through step by step, proper way to tear it down, to clean it, to maintain it, to oil it, and put it back together. And I think that's all I'm about going to cover on that. It's just something I wanted to, get off my chest, because all day long I've been, on all the different threads out there and information I've been looking over. Everybody thinking this is the greatest thing in the world. And our eyes, it is, but also in their eyes, it is as well, because they're hoping we're going to take that path. And once we do, folks, there's no turning back or coming back from that one. A couple of people are asking in the other chat. I do have two chats open. We have our chat open over on the Freedom Reigns as well, if you're more comfortable joining us there. Please do so. If you're not sure how to log into BTR, where you're listening to the show, as far as for the chat room, it should come up. Even if you're logged in as guests, you just won't be able to enter a comment or question. You can log in using your Facebook account or any other social account, or you can click on Create a BTR account. And you would do that just like you would do to anything else. Just click on Create an Account. It's free. And you type in your username, password, and your email address. It's Only takes a couple minutes to do, and then you'll be able to log in instead of as a guest. You'll be able to log in and participate in the chats as well. No, Jose, I lost you. Your last couple of comments were broken up, so you may want to unplug and replug in your mic there. I know I have that same problem from time to time, especially using a USB headset and mic, that I just have to unplug it and plug it back in, and that usually seems to solve the problem. Jesse is also going to try and join us tonight, but she's not sure if she's going to be able to make it. Okay, I have your mic live now, Jose. Try that. Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Here we go. We got you now.
Yeah. All right. I don't know either. All I know is at one point I had 4 instances of Skype signing in. One connected, and I was hearing 2 versions of the song at the same time, and 2 versions of you talking all at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. No, I have a lot of fun with this Windows Vista, mixing in Mozilla Firefox, Chrome, and a couple other programs that I like to open up, so that I can do stuff, switch around documents, and look at things. But since you did a big, long spiel there, it gave me kind of a little bit of time to get things kind of settled down. Now, on the gun issue, there's a thing here that I was reading from the police log of Sarasota, Florida. I don't know what the date on it is. It's just something that was floating around. Turns out there was an elderly Florida lady, did her shopping, and upon returning to her car, found 4 males in the act of leaving with her vehicle. She dropped her shopping bags and drew her handgun, proceeding to scream at the top of her lungs, "I have a gun, and I know how to use it. Get out of the car." The 4 men didn't wait for a second threat. They got out and ran like mad. The lady, somewhat shaken, then proceeded to load her shopping bags into the back of the car. She got into the driver's seat. She was so shaken that she could not get her key into the ignition. She tried and tried, and then she realized why. It was for the same reason. She had wondered why there was a football, a frisbee, and 2 12-packs of beer in the front seat. A few minutes later, she found her own car parked 4 or 5 spaces further down. She loaded her bags into the car and drove to the police station to report her mistake. The sergeant, to whom she told the story, couldn't stop laughing. He pointed to the other end of the counter where 4 pale men were reporting a carjacking by a mad elderly woman described as white, less than 5 feet tall, glasses, curly white hair, and carrying a large handgun. No charges were filed. Moral of the story, if you're going to have a senior moment, make it memorable. Well, the other moral of the story is, come on, people. We all know that big guns can be scary. We also have to understand that mistakes can be made. Just like she mistaked her car for somebody else's, you might mistake yours for somebody else's. Or you might make the mistake of taking someone as a threat when all they are is being a little bit angry about something or another. Always, always, always try to talk down the aggressive individual. If you have no other choice and they are getting aggressive to the point of where you feel that your life is in danger, imminent danger, then it's your judgment call. But up until that point, use your better judgment. you know, because these things don't go lightly. And you cannot, just like words, you cannot recall a bullet after it's been sent off. All right, well, I'm done with the story. Anyways, yeah, it's the gun thing is getting to be a little bit on the heavy side. Come on, people, let's lighten up. You know, we obviously in our country we have the we have the advantage. I mean, this is our home court. That's first advantage. Second of all, we have, believe it or not, and I'm not talking about any part of the DoD or the U.S. military or the private contractors, minus all of them. We still have approximately 80% of the population armed. All right? That's a huge percentage. Yeah. And yeah, there's places like Chicago where only the gangsters are armed and they're running around killing everybody. But idiots from Britain specifically, idiots from England, even more so specific, like this Piers Morgan jackass, they don't know. They don't understand. And if they do know and they do understand, don't let them get to you. Come on, give me a break. He's an idiot. He's part of the aristocracy. And I don't know about you guys, but has anybody ever seen a blue blood make any kind of intelligent anything? I mean, I think about the only thing I ever seen, and I think it was G.W. Bush, not his daddy, not his grandpa, but I think it was G.W. I think I seen him holding a shovel at one time. I don't know that he actually knows what it was for or even knows how to use it. So, yeah, that's the kind of intelligence that we're working against. These are not very smart people. One of their members, back in, I'd like to say probably like 92 to 94. I know that I found cards for their game. It's called the Illuminati game. There's a lot of cards that you can, all you got to do is Google Illuminati game and then click on images and all these cards will come up. It tells you right in there what their plans are. All you got to do is figure out what has happened and what are the probabilities of this other stuff happening in accordance with what's going on in the world right now and what's going on in Washington, D.C. and across our country, or across our union. And you can line these cards up fairly well into the future. Right now, we're working off of 3 cards. The first one that I see we're working off of is gun grabbing. The second one that I see that we're working off of is backlash, because all the gun owners are now going after the politicians. And then the third one that I see we're working off of, and I think this is coming up soon because, that magic day in April is coming up, the 15th. That's the tax card. I don't remember, tax reform card. Or I may be wrong, and that one was last year, and the other 2 are right now. But yeah, that's pretty much the current state of affairs that we're looking at. Anybody have any questions? Or am I just going to keep rambling? No, but seriously, there's plenty to look into. There's a lot that we can see. One of my favorite comments that I like to give people, when they start going on about other stuff, other than the things that we already know from the previous shows that we've studied, when they start talking about these citizenship rights, or they start going off about politicians doing this and politicians doing that. Sometimes I like to tell them, look, I hear you, and I see what you've written, and I read it, and I understand it. But I have yet to see anything that you have presented that can be used in a court of law or even in a court of legal that would help you in freeing yourself from this horrible enslavement in the system, you know? So, come on. I'm trying to guide you. I'm trying to give you a hand in the right direction. And are you listening? I don't know. So sometimes I get, yeah, I'm listening. What do you want to pass to us now? And I'll pass them a link for PAC, or I like giving out the citizenship link, from PAC. That one's a really good one. I really like handing that one in because that explains things very well. Which leads us into our show. Sorry about ranting, Doc. Go ahead and take it.
Oh, go for it, brother. All good. Yeah, I'm actually, while you were doing that, I was flipping through some of our PDFs because I know we're talked about going into some more of the advanced stuff. But please is only able to stop by for a few minutes. He'll catch it in the archives. Chris, of course, is with us as always. He's over here in the freedomreigns.us chat room. He's trying to get in the BTR, but having trouble getting that to work. But that's okay, Chris. We can see you there. We're jumping back and forth between the two chats. And you had mentioned the one PDF there, and we can go over that on our Wednesday shows. Because that's a good one to go in for the new people. And I'm sorry for saying because I'm reading at the same time. And that's what happens. I get distracted. I'm reading the chat room. We have a couple of whole bunch of guests tonight. Glad you can join us. Thank you. Kurt is here. Natalia has joined us, and also RK has just now popped into the chat room. There's a question about Alex Jones. We've talked about him in the past. I listen to Alex Jones from time to time. I like Alex Jones. However, I also do know that he is a puppet. He is what I would refer to or call an agent provocateur in a lot of ways. He's been introduced to PAC. He's had the material from PAC. From time to time, PAC members have called in, and the second he finds out it's one of us on the radio, he quickly cuts us off. Because he doesn't want the truth to come out there, because then that would take him out of center stage. Back in the day, he was a lot more open. If you go back to, he's been in this a long, long time. And if you go back to his most earliest stuff, he was great. He really was.
Uh-oh.
And what had happened was he got brought into the inner circle. And basically, in my opinion, I think he's a paid agent provocateur because he will not let the real information get out. He'd rather send a whole bunch of disinformation around. He'd also rather center on himself. Even when he has a guest, the guest will be on a roll, and I'm really fascinated and interested in what the guest might be saying. And the second you get to that point, Alex will break into the conversation and totally take it in either another direction and somehow turn it all around like an about-face kind of deal because it's all about Alex. And that really upsets me when he does that. I don't know. I don't think he's doing it intentionally. I think it's a subconscious thing that he's doing. I just really wish he wouldn't do that. But yeah, he does have a bad tendency of doing that. Years ago, like I said, he was out there in the field. He was fighting a good fight. He disappeared for a while. Then he came back super strong. And usually when somebody does that, where's all the money coming from? You always ask yourself, follow the money. Where's he getting all the money from? But how's this all coming about? So that's just my opinion, of course. and how I see it. But I do like Alex. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I like Alex Jones. He's out there. At least he's doing something. He's trying to do something. However, I think he's leaning more to the control side of things. Being controlled, if you will, and has taken that path, and that's sad because it improved his ratings. It improved his listenership. But anytime you hear that or see that occur, that's when it's time to be leery. We had people years ago, I ain't going to mention names, there were shows that have been going on and off, and you'll see these people, like the Tim Turner types. Every time you turn around, they pop up out of the blue, and they got millions and millions and millions of dollars, supposedly, and all this other stuff, and they're teaching you all this patriot hype and craziness, and, they just go off in a million different directions, and they got thousands upon thousands of followers, and they've recreated the government, and you see all this craziness, and yet it seems like people flock to it, like a fly to be nice to a light bulb. But you know what I was going to say. Still too early. I'm behaving. But you get the drift, folks, okay? When you see that, the odds are you're dealing with a snake oil salesman or you're dealing with a paid agent provocateur. Their money to do all this and to get all these YouTube stuff going and cover all the airways and have all this craziness going on, where's that money coming from? They're being supported by they. We all know who they are. They're just tools to further the New World Order. They don't realize it. I really don't think they realize it. I think they truly believe in what they're saying most of the time. But that's because they don't know the truth. They don't have all the facts. And they're easily misled and guided and handled, which is exactly what the elitists and all them have perfected to a T. So just be careful. Watch it, listen to it. As you learn more and more information, and you go through the courses, and you start to realize and recognize these things that we cover on our Wednesday show, you'll be able to see that, and you'll be like, "Yep, it's like a light bulb going off." Oh yeah, boom, right there. You can see how quickly the flow changes in a conversation, or how they'll misdirect. That they're like, okay, well, this is going too far into truth. So, by the way, let's jump to a commercial. When they come back, they totally avoid going back to that topic. They'll go into something totally different altogether.
Yep.
So
every time.
That's when you start recognizing, okay, there's a control factor involved here. They don't really want certain things to get out. With it being our deeper involved shows, and we did put a bunch of posts up last week about different things for people to read over when they have a chance and to go over. One of the links I didn't put in, and we can cover in future as well on our Wednesday nights, but I just want to put it out there. Look up the PDF. It's actually still on our old site, packinlaw.org/disinfo, DISINFO. And that'll bring you to Disinformation, How to Fight Back. It's not that long, but it's got a ton of information in it. One of our state nationals, who were teaching many years ago, they taught this particular document as Lesson 1. To me, to use this as Lesson 1 is, well, I would say way above a lot of people's heads, especially those just coming in. So I use it as kind of Lesson 1, or Lesson 8 or 9, or whatever number you want to put to it, more into the advanced information. You got to really have the basics down before you can get into it. And what it does, it breaks down the 25 rules of disinformation, how to fight back, and 8 traits of the disinformationalist and what to look for. And if you go through that and you take your time with that particular document, even as a newbie to the information, you can pick up on it, and you'll be able to see and recognize in others these traits and what's going on, and determine, okay, they're a disinformation agent, or they're trying to deceive in some way, shape, or form, and it lists the 8 traits and how it all goes about. It's well done. It's very well broken down. The 25 rules are: number 1, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. Number 2, become incredulous. What is that word? Good grief, forget my English tonight. And
incredulous.
Thank you. And indignant. Boy, sometimes certain words are like, you know it in your head, you just can't get the tongue to say it. Create rumor mongers. Use a strawman. That's a very good one, and we'll go over that on Wednesday. Sidetrack opponents with name calling and ridicule.
Mm-hmm.
Hit and run. Question motives.
Yep.
Invoke authority.
Yep.
Play dumb. Mm-hmm. Associate opponent charges with old news. Establish and rely upon fallback positions. Enigmas have no solution. The Alice in Wonderland logic. Demand complete solutions. And fit the facts to alternate conclusions. Vanish evidence and witnesses. Change the subject. Man, we just covered that one. Emotionalize, antagonize, and God, I should say. Ignore facts. Demand impossible proofs. False evidence. Call a grand jury, special prosecutor. Manufacture a new truth. Create bigger distractions. And silence critics. And vanish altogether. Those are the 25. And it goes down and it breaks down each and every single one of them, along with examples. So it's not that hard to follow, but for me, I didn't think it was a first, option kind of deal. I always consider it to be a little bit more on the advanced side because it's more easy to recognize. And just to list the 8 traits of the disinformationalist: avoidance, selectivity, coincidental, teamwork, anti-conspiratorial, artificial emotions, inconsistent, and newly discovered time constant. So those are the breakdown that's on that document. You get a chance, read over it, check it out. Oh, excuse me. And you're going to have your eyes open, even for the beginners. It's something they can follow along because it is giving examples. It does break a lot down for you. And you can see it just with those listing of having those 25 laid out and having the 8 laid out. You can see that in many people. You'll be able to see that in the Alex Jones, the Glenn Beck, the list goes on and on and on. Especially if anybody's in mainstream media, or is in the real popular follow me type of individuals like Tim Turner and Rusa and Rap and all those. If you haven't heard of those and you're new to the movement, most of those have by now been shut down. Turner himself has been finally locked up and put away. This is what happened to these people. They get big supports. They can run from the law for a long time. They con a lot of people. They scam a lot of people. They end up with millions and millions of dollars. They make you break the law by following all kinds of UCC code bullshit stuff. And as soon as you start seeing that, the whole UCC people, the straw man, the free man on the land, and all these other, asinine claims, especially if you hear somebody start talking about admiralty law, run, folks. Don't even waste your time listening to another word that person has to say. Run. Okay? They are disinformation agents. They are clueless when it comes to law.
Yep.
Okay. So just be careful out there. And there's tons of PDFs that PAC has put together to help you with all that, and we'll cover those.
And if I can say...
Absolutely. Say whatever you like. I'll let you.
If I can just
okay,
jump in.
time's up. You're done. No.
Oh, my God.
Go ahead. I'm in a goofy mood tonight, guys. Hey, what can I tell you?
Okay. And look, you're going to find it. You're going to find these people in every walk of life. I mean, right from, the top, the very top, all the way down to the very bottom. In every sector of life, you're going to find these kind of people that just, oh my God, and most of them are just parrots. That's all they are. It's not like they have information. They just go off of information that they've heard from somebody else, and because somebody else said it, or somebody else heard it from an authoritative, sort of authoritative figure. Mainly, it's like one idiot listens to the news, and then he goes and he spreads it out to all the other idiots, and the other idiots start parroting it because they don't do the research for themselves. And it happens in the Republicrats as much as the Demoblicans, as much as the liberals, as much as the constitutionalists, and all the other ones. And that's the problem. That is one of the main problems in our so-called America today, because I run into this every day. Believe it or not, it's every day, and I'm trying to pass these people good, solid, clean-cut information. And you know what I get back? I'll be talking about U.S. citizenship, and I'll get back, well, Thomas Jefferson said that, only you can live on your land and you can work the land. When you leave the land, it can go to somebody else. That's what Thomas Jefferson said. And I'm like, I'm not talking about the land. I'm talking about your status in life. And it's like they don't get it. I mean, seriously, do not get it. I'll bet one of these days, and I'm going to try this, I'm going to put down something absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to write down, the mainstream media said, like MSNBC said, that we all have to find out what our status in life is. Maybe that'll get them idiots to actually listen to what we're saying.
Hey, don't laugh. I've tried tricks like that. I've actually done that just for a test. We were goofing around years ago, and it's not up, and we deleted it and took them out. But we were over there on one of my favorite sites there, the Above Top Secret. That's where I keep a lot of my links and all for you guys. You head on over there, just simply look and do a search for Dr. Meola, and you'll find all my threads. Of course, ATS over the years have removed a lot of my threads, because especially in the last year and a half, they've been removing a lot of my threads because supposedly they're controlled and taken over by the CIA now. So they've been deleting a lot of truth threads. So anytime there's too much truth or information given out, especially about martial law and law itself in general, i.e. most of my threads, they have a tendency to delete them out. And they send me a stupid excuse about it. And they'll tell me, oh, well, somebody else already has a thread going. Please participate in that thread. And I've actually even emailed and said, oh, really? Well, I'm sorry. My thread has been up for 4 years. This thread's been up for 4 weeks. And you delete mine? Why don't you go and delete theirs and turn mine back on?
Uh-huh.
That happens. Here's an email where you can send a complaint to it against the owners, and they will respond, usually within 72 hours. Guess what? I've sent several emails to the so-called heads of office, those in charge. Never once have I ever gotten a response. They don't want me out there. I just laugh it off. I think, to me, it's a good thing. I'm like, hey, I know I must be doing something right if they don't want to hear from me. It's amazing, but it is. It's just becoming so political over there. And 99% of all the posts now, especially in the last year and a half, is all about alien stuff. UFO sightings and alien this and close encounter that. And, what used to be one of the top threads over there was the political madness and civil unrest thread areas or sections, if you will, where people would post to. And that has just become I don't know. It's not non-existent, but has died down big time. They've just either deleted so much from it. They've, they just don't allow the good information to get out, if you will. They're really closing the noose on a lot of us guys in that aspect. So that's something to be watchful of. But anyway, I posted 2 links. The one I was talking about, the disinfo, that page, I put that link there in the BTR chat, along with one of the links I posted last week on our last Thursday night show on the advanced stuff, one of the 4 or 5 links, and that is the Russian textbook on psychopolitics. That's a 35-page document. You could spend a year going over that one document itself. But we're not going to do that. So we're going to glance over a little bit of it because we did say we're going to talk to it. We're just going to go over some of the content and some of the information that's within there. If you guys by now should have had enough time to open that link or at least bookmark it. For those of you who are joining us who are new to the group, you may find a lot of this information a little bit over your heads, but that's okay. Don't let it deter you in any manner whatsoever. Anyway, ask a question. If something sounds off to you, don't be saying, well, I don't understand just because I'm new. Ask the question, please. It's totally new information to you. You're new to the program. That's fine. You want to elaborate on a particular section mentioned, even in the advanced courses here, and you're trying to play catch-up, please ask the question because it keeps us on our toes. It keeps us knowing what you want to hear about, where you're struggling and having troubles with, and also, hey, some of the advanced students may have had the same question. I just didn't think about answering it. So remember, you're never asked. Even though you may be the one asking the question, you're not only asking for yourself. And there's many others who are probably asking or wanting to ask the same question. We have a caller on the line. We'll take that before we get into the Russian textbook, of course. But before we do that, because I'm getting a little hoarse, if that caller would just bear with us a few more minutes, I'm going to play a song because, as you can tell, I'm getting hoarse. Got to get something to drink here. My thought, from time to time, those who have been with us a long time, they know I share my articles and my writings, and many of them are the tear-jerking kind. Just fair warning if you start reading over some of my articles. And I went over one of my articles many years ago. It was the Death of Camelot is the title. I'm getting comments on my Skype as well, sorry. But yeah, Death of Camelot is what it was titled. It's actually on my old blog, which is drmeola.blogspot.com, I believe, is the web address for that. And if you look under old articles or old posts, you'll see it there. And it's the idea that, okay, say the landmass is, and the corruption can't be fixed, and all these other things that are happening in society around the world, that if we keep hope and we keep the code, okay, a written code, I know, like the old Knights Code, if you will, and the original Code of the Republic, which goes all the way back to Rome and throughout history. Most of them all started out as a republic and then became something else, same as us. So our written code, if you will, would be the basics of either the Constitution, the Golden Rule. These things live within our hearts, folks. These are things that we can take with us to any land, doesn't matter, to any island. Provided it's not already turned into a dictatorship. But it's just something to think about.
With that one.
What was that?
Yeah, I'm back here just making all kinds of bad comments, Doc.
Yeah, I figured. I know. Everybody picks on good old Doc. That's okay. We love you.
No, well, it was about, finding an island that isn't turned into a dictatorship is like, yeah, okay, good luck with that one.
Exactly. You know what I think of? I'm like, well, that island could be, let's see, 100 years after your nuclear blast, and it's now becomes habitable again. Yeah, that's it. We can go there and do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, some of the stuff that goes through our brains. Oh my God. You start getting a little crazy insane, folks, when you look into this stuff, and it becomes such a great passion, and you go to bed every night, either saying to yourself, man, what is wrong with people? Why? How come I can't get through to them? What am I doing wrong? And one minute you're angry, and next minute you're in tears, like, I put my heart and soul in this, and all I want to do is help. That's all I'm trying to do is help. And I see where we came from and what we become, and it's sad, it's depressing. But I also know that, hey, I have the hope, I have the drive, and if I can get others on board, we have a chance. And I'll never give up that hope. That hope of chance is what I carry with me. And that's what gets me through week after week, doing the shows. Whether I got one person or 1,000 people, it doesn't matter to me. As long as somebody's listening, I'm here. All right. That caller has not called back in. I put it in the chat. Please, caller. I lost you off the board somehow. I don't know if you got disconnected, if you hung up. Please call in. Love to hear from you. Welcome, Bayo21, one of our regulars who tries to join us frequently. He's over there in the Freedom Reigns chat. If you have noticed, we also have the BTR chat room open. So if you're able to join us there, even if you don't have an account, you can at least follow along with the chat. You just cannot type to make comments over there on BTR without being logged in. And that's okay. You can just put your comments over here on the Freedom Reigns, and we can always relay it to everyone else. So not a problem. I was hoping to try to get Chris encouraged there to call in. Chris has been with me, oh God, probably, almost from the very beginning, almost 4 years, I would say. He's done tons of studies out on his own. He's gone into all these advanced PDFs. He's gone off in every avenue you can think of. And we'd love to get his insight and his 2 cents, as it were, on these documents as we go through them. Like I said, it's a long document. It's 37 pages. We're not going to read through this step by step. We're not going to go into it. That's something you guys can do on your own. I just want to give you the general and basics of these more advanced documents. And then, of course, you go off on your own studies, read them as you have time, and then take notes if you have questions or comments or not sure of something. The following week, please come back. Say, in reference to, and let me know which one you're going to ask about, and we can always turn back to it and go into more detail on a specific topic. But this one is the Russian textbook on psychopolitics. Psychopolitics. It's the art and science of asserting and maintaining dominion over the thoughts and loyalties of individuals, officers, bureaus, and masses, and the effecting of the conquest of enemy nations through mental healing. Now, again, it's one of those paragraphs that covers a ton of information. In our lessons, starting from the new classes, and those who have been with us a while, we know we don't just read words. We look at the words, look for those meanings in law. What are they really trying to tell us? Well, many of us have heard about the MK Ultra projects. The repeat a lie long enough, it becomes truth. How do they go about, little by little, asserting and maintaining this dominion over our thoughts? Well, that's how they do it, by brainwashing and indoctrination. And how do they gain the loyalties of individuals? By repeating those lies over and over again and buying or paying off us as slaves to them. This is how they get our loyalty. Somebody gives you money, you're going to become loyal to them. And that's what benefits entitlements are all about. Now, they need to keep that ruse up for everyone at all levels, no matter if you're officers, you're in any kind of bureau or just the general masses of public, masses of people. Because this is how they take over and in this wording, and the affecting of the conquest of enemy nations. Well, folks, the USA is the enemy. As a citizen, you are the enemy to the rightful republic, the union, the de jure of the 50 individual nations and countries that make up this union. And they do it through mental healing. Well, we understand the mental part. Where's the healing part?
Aha.
Okay. Mental healing, isn't that one of those oxymorons?
Exactly.
Right?
Now, see, this is an area where I've studied a bit. One of the teachers that I studied under, and I'm not going to say his name because I know everybody's going to just jump up. Wah! Well, look, he said, and I've read it in his writings. What he says is psychiatry, psychology, sociology, and all those interconnected ologies in that field. When you sit down to study them, if you take the time to read the books, starting with the cover and going one page at a time, by the time you reach page 1, you will have a very clear understanding that psychology, psychiatry, psycho anything, socio anything, have nothing, absolutely nothing to do with their roots, as the root words would imply. Okay? So then it would behoove us to look up the root word to psycho and politics. All yours, Doc.
Oh, sure, yeah. Just jump in like that on me. Yeah, while you were doing that, I was actually, I love my people. I'll tell you, we become a family here. You spend enough time with us, we truly do become like a family, and we pick on each other and keep each other honest, and we really do have a good time. And one of my students there in Skype, one of my very close friends, he sat there and says, he sends me a response just to see if I was paying attention, right? He says, let's see, they did not give us their money, they gave us our money, because he knows I'm going to respond to it. And my response to it was, well, FRNs, also known as Federal Reserve Notes, is their money. U.S. notes, which very few people know about, are public money. And he does that just to keep me on my toes and bust my chops. And I love him for it. So, yeah, for those of you who don't understand that, and this is why I like it, because it's said right there in that one paragraph, and I mentioned money. They pay us. They give us money. It is their money. It's not the public's money. For those who do not understand what money is and how it works, and the difference between private money, which is the Federal Reserve Notes, which has nothing to do with the feds at all. It's just a name, folks. It's a private company that lends money to the USA corporation at interest. The interest is what the national debt shows. That is the interest owed on the money we use, and they give us. They're giving us their money. A U.S. note, also known back in the day and referred to in Lincoln's time before the Civil War, so-called Civil War, the war between nations, which is the proper title, confirmed by the Supreme Court as well, if you need a high court confirmation on that. Greenbacks, U.S. notes, gold certificates, silver certificates, those are what is known as, along with all coinage, whether that coinage was printed 80 years ago or yesterday, all coinage is considered public money. Now, the reason it's called public money is because there's no interest attached. And we covered over some of that, I believe, yesterday. We went into that where all coinage, and there's no debt to that. And that's why the IRS automatically forgives you. Ain't this nice of them? They forgive you $1,000 worth of your earnings at the end of the year because they assume that the average person uses about $8,000 in coins to pay for parking meters, vending machines, so on and so forth.
Hey, wait a second. I worked for those ferns. Those ferns are mine. That's my money.
No, actually, you worked for your employer and made him money. You didn't make anything.
Yeah, you got exactly that. Ferns.
Yeah, ferns.
Federal Reserve knots. No, I mean, look it up. Come on, just grab a law dictionary and look up the word note. Think about what mom and dad and grandpa and grandma used to say about going down to the bank and having to tote a note.
Yep.
A note is a loan.
Yep.
It's debt. Right, Doc? Or am I?
Yep. And the greenbacks, would you go to the one that does a U.S. note? Those are printed by the Treasury Department. It's public money. It is a debt-free instrument, even though it does have the word note on it. That is the only exclusion to the rule of a note being a debt instrument. And I don't know why they printed it that way, to be honest with you. What it was is it was the transition from one form of currency to the other. Basically getting rid of the silver certificates and the gold certificates and becoming the U.S. note, or the U.S. note came first. I always get that backwards. And then came the other currencies as well. But it was a transition from one type of currency to the other. And that's what
I think that the U.S. note was specifically used. Wait, are you talking about the U.S. notes that Lincoln made, or are you talking about the U.S. notes that Kennedy made?
Either one, as long as it says U.S. note on top. Okay, now the Lincolns were referred to most commonly as greenbacks, but if you look at the top where it says, nowadays you'll see it says Federal Reserve note. Well, if you look at the older, it says U.S. note.
Right.
Right.
See,
different.
The way that I'm looking at Lincoln's U.S. notes is to be to attempt to create the financial flip that the Federal Reserve notes created. I think that's what Lincoln was trying to do, is flip the money from being a wealth-based currency to a debt-based currency. Okay. Whereas what Kennedy was doing, he was trying to turn the tables on the Federal Reserve and take the money from being a debt-based currency back to being a wealth-based currency, in that with the issuing of U.S. notes, the government would have owed the people money, and therefore the people would have used U.S. notes more because they were tax-free, and it would have automatically just pushed the Federal Reserve notes out of existence, and it would have pushed the Federal Reserve Bank into massive, massive debt. Instead of us owing them that $14 trillion, right now they would owe us that $14 trillion.
The general of what they were trying to do. However, the U.S. notes, if you look on the dates, they date into the 1930s. Kennedy Wasn't even born yet.
Um,
Wasn't Kennedy. Yeah.
there's U.S. notes. There's silver cert,
have them.
silver certs and gold certs and all that. I've got one that's
And the U.S.
a
I have
60s issue.
well, yeah. Well, some of the certificates were printed much later. Now that's where also JFK came into play. What he did was, and one of the reasons he was assassinated, I would still say the main reason the man was assassinated, and this very few in the public understand or realize, just prior his assassination, during one of the chamber group meetings, of his cabinet, a cabinet meeting type of deal, he had wanted to do that. He wanted to give back the public their money, a debt-free instrument. And he made a proposal to release, because at the time the president had this power. They no longer do. At the time, the president had the power of silver. And he was going to release the silver reserve and have the Treasury Department, not the Federal Reserve, but the Treasury Department, print up silver certificates equivalent to the amount of silver that was held in reserve, okay, making it a debt-free instrument and trying to flood the market with it. Well, of course, big bankers didn't like that idea, so they took him out before he could accomplish that. Before the man's body was even cold, after being pronounced dead, there was a special congressional hearing. And before they were able to sit the vice president in his place as acting president, they passed a new rule and removed that power from the president. So ever since that day, no president has ruled over the silver reserve. Right? And that's why he was killed. And there ain't nobody going to be able to convince me otherwise, because it's just way too coincidental that one morning he has a cabinet meeting, very, very ill. So he didn't have that much longer to live anyway. I doubt he was going to, live out his full presidency. But I guess to make peace with the American people, to make peace with his maker, or whatever whatever was on his mind, he wanted to try to do something good and right for the people, and that was to release the one thing he did have in his power, and that was silver. And he wanted to give that back to the public. And right after, within days after that chamber meeting, he was assassinated. And that very same night, or the very next night, like I said, before his body was even cold, before they could even sit the vice president in the seat of president, they removed the power of the silver reserve from the head of office, from the presidential seat. This is why I tell people all the time, the president is nothing more than a figurehead. He had zero power. None. He had silver. They no longer have that since JFK. Before that, it was also considered the power of the purse. Power of the purse, where? Resides with Congress. The president is nothing more than a figurehead to represent the USA at the international level, which is why the USA was set up to begin with. It had nothing to do with you and me, folks. It's not a country. It's not a nation. It's nothing. It's foreign land. It's a corporation from day one, just like all government agencies, municipalities. It doesn't matter. They're all corporations from day one. It's no magic date. From day one, they were a corporation. Right? It's not a country, folks. What happens is the president no longer had any power at all, except for the so-called executive order, which really is nothing, and it doesn't really refer to anybody. Yet everybody thinks it's we're all tied to this. Well, they're really not, since his power and influence has nothing to do with even USA as far as operating within the United States, within the Union, I should say, to correct my own verbiage. His power resides on the international level, at the world level, for trade and exchange. His power has zero since the removal of the silver from his control, has zero representation here to make play in the Union. However, because we're all been dumbed down and nobody wants to learn and know the truth, including others in charge, including even the Congress and the Senate, not realizing their own law half the time and passing bills that they don't even read and making negotiations and bribes in dark rooms, okay? They don't even realize that the executive orders don't mean squat. They have meaning and power only at the international level. Okay? So when you see all these executive orders, and Obama has signed more executive orders and term of presidency than I think all presidents ever that preceded him combined. Okay? You want to talk about somebody grabbing and pushing and being the real puppet for the New World Order? That's Obama. He's getting all documented. He's getting all these executive orders passed. He's getting everything lined up. All the ducks are in a row. He's just waiting for that last domino to fall.
Well, isn't he supposed to be like a constitutional lawyer, professor, founding father, writer of the Constitution thing there? He's supposed to know more about the Constitution than anybody else in the entire world. I doubt it.
He's a repeater. He don't know squat. He knows what his university professors taught him to learn. Just like every teacher in every public school system. They don't know squat. They know what they were read, approved, textbook, approved by the elitists, the government. This is what you will teach. This is how you will teach it. You are a puppet. I can program a robot to do the exact same job almost every single friggin' public school teacher in the world out there, I should say in the Union, not the world, does. Okay? You might as well fire all the teachers, stand up a damn computer screen, when the last kid enters the room, hit play for the day. And we'll broadcast the indoctrination for that day. I'm sorry. Boy, don't get me going down here. You know the way I get going.
Well,
you know.
That's exactly why I asked that question.
Yeah, because you know you're going to set off. See, people not push my buttons. People, but it's total insanity. And when you start approaching things with a little common sense, you quickly are able to point out all the madness. You're like, look, I know exactly what that person's doing, and you laugh. It's like, what a nut job. This guy's clueless. Or, I mean, all these expressions come to mind when you, all day long, I go through the news and C-SPAN and YouTube videos. I keep up on all this stuff. And every time I come across a new one and I think just about has it right, usually within the first 10 minutes of the video, boom, something will slip. And it's like, oh, God, I can't believe he just went there. You might as well throw the rest of the video in the garbage because the guy from that point on is clueless. Because they'll start going off into the strawman and Freeman on the land and Admiralty and all that. You just want to choke these people. Once you start learning this stuff, folks, you'll understand my frustration, if you will, and why I have to laugh about it. If I don't laugh, I'll cry because it really is that bad. And it is very, very serious. But as we look through this document, try to get back to this document here, that was just the definition of psychopolitics. And look how much we covered on that just one short sentence. Okay, well, long sentence, if you will. Contents has editorial notes addressed by Beria. Beria? What a weird last name. Okay, can't pronounce it. Deria. But anyway, and then you move into your chapters. Like I said, it's 37 pages long. And the basic of it is for educational purposes, and it's intended to show the nature of communist doctrine. And for those who do not realize it by now, yes, all 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto have been accomplished right here in the good old USA. And we can get into that at another time. We'll do that, some of that on Wednesday. So for the new guys that are just connecting the dots and putting this all together, and how everything that in the Communist Manifesto, the 10 planks, the Marxism, if you will, has already been accomplished. Like I said, all the dominoes have fallen, folks. The New World Order is ready to go. There's one domino left standing, and that's us. We're the only ones that are keeping that from falling over. And if we respond, like I talked about at the beginning of this show, if we give in and allow that last straw, that last domino to fall, it's game over for all of us, folks. So I need you guys to be due diligent. Take the study serious. Do the research as you can. Get the textbook. Even as somebody who's new to this show, if you get that textbook, it's going to be hard to understand in the beginning, but that's okay. As we go along, it'll become easier and easier and easier. And so true, common sense ain't so common anymore. And that is sad. They have taken away our humanity in so many ways. They've taken us from individuals with creativity and turned us into human resources. They've taken us, all the arts, away from our kids in school. No, when we were in school, we had the trades. We had art class and music class, and oh hell, I had typing and cooking and home ec and sewing and metal shop and wood shop and automotive. All these things we had, and one by one, slowly but surely, like the pot in the water, the frog in the kettle, rather, turning up the heat nice and slow. So nobody catches on. Nobody pays attention until it's too late. The textbook I'm talking about, and no, you cannot get it on Amazon. You can only get it through us, is the Red Amendment. Go to any PAC site and just look for TRA. That's the Red Amendment. That's our textbook. We print it in-house for the most part. You can order it online, or you can order it through mail order, through money order, through the mail, whichever you're more comfortable with. They do take some time to get out to you folks because we pretty much print them as ordered. It's not like we print up 100 of these things and leave them in a corner until people order them and then send them out. So don't be surprised. Sometimes you'll get them quite quickly. Other times, some people have waited as much as eight weeks in order to get them. It's just because either we ran out of ink in the office to print them, or ran low on donations, or whatever the case may be. But we are getting it to you. Trust me. Usually, it's not that long to wait. Most cases, you can order by the case at a discount. Get together with your friends and family, other people in your area, start a study group. You join together, everybody pitches in together, order a case. There's 10 books in a case. And this way, too, everybody will have the new edition, and you can all get together and learn together. Listen to the show, and we'll take you step by step and get you up to speed for what you're going to need to go through to do it. Thank you. There we go. Jose just posted the link for you, and you can order it right from the website. You can click on it, like I said, and order it either online or through a money order through the mail. Online is usually a lot quicker, obviously. The cases, like I said, may take a little bit longer to get to you, even if you order them online, because there's 10 in a case. So it's just a matter of how much they have in stock, how quickly they get out. They check them and go through them and they mail them out once a week. So that, like, you may order it on a Wednesday, and if Thursday's the mail date, well, guess what? You'll have it real quick. You know what I'm saying? If the mail out date is Thursday and you order on a Friday, Well, it's being put together, it's being packed up, so it's going to be a week there alone, waiting before the next mail out date, if you will. So that's why the times of receiving varies. Because like anything you order online, it'll tell you, 2 to 4 weeks to expect to receive it. Yeah, ain't no difference here with us. You may get it real quick. You may have to wait a few weeks, but it is on its way. We never had a dissatisfied customer in 15 years or so. Never once had anybody send it back saying, oh, what a bunch of BS, or I want my money back, or nothing. 15 years, folks, and never once has it ever been returned. That's saying something on itself. 15 years, and we never had a state national, which is the end goal, arrested, put in jail, taken away in the dead of night. Nobody else can claim that. Only we can. So, good night, my brother. My brother has to get to sleep. He gets up 4:30 in the morning to head to work. He'll listen to the rest of the show in the archives. He joins me whenever possible. Be safe out there. Let's read over these editorial notes. We have about a half hour left in the show. And I want to kind of read over some of this, and let me double check the board, make sure we have no callers. Okay, nothing in the chat room I need to address. Okay. Jose,
No, I didn't see
that as well. We're bouncing back and forth. But yeah, if you still have that link open, if you scroll on down, we're going to look at the editorial note. I like looking at that type of stuff, so like the notes, the footnotes. You're going to find tons of footnotes in the pack document. You're also going to find the little, the little one, and go down to the footnote and read what that comment is. And some documents you may see that every sentence. Others, not so much. But you're always going to find reference links. You're always going to find footnotes of some sort. I like looking at dates. I'm a date person. That's how I looked at the money and realized, okay, nope. Now, the U.S. note predates JFK because, wait a minute, he wasn't even born on the day of the note I have, in possession. So, nope, it wasn't him. So you have to just default then at that point back to Lincoln and the greenbacks. We're not going to spend too much time on that. Let's skip beyond that. If you want to get into more on the money issue, how it came about, what it's all about, please look up. You can find it through the PAC site, through the old media section, I believe. You'll find Pastor Rod Parsley, I think is the proper way to say it. I think it's Parsley, or you can find him on YouTube, and it's called National Debt. Take a look at that. It's, I think, about an hour long. The man is a phenomenal speaker. Even if you're not a religious person, it's not a religious topic. He goes into and explains exactly what is the national debt, what an FRN is, how it came into play. It's just that there's a ton of information there. It goes along very well with Chapter 3 of the Red Amendment. Chapter 3 is also an explanation of the debt instrument and all that entails.
And it goes right along with, in PAC, the not my government part of it. It goes right into there. And you realize that, this national debt, and it's really not 14 or 16 trillion like they're saying. It's 58 trillion. 58, not 14 or 16. The actual numbers that they're handing out to these people that aren't listening are way smaller than the actual debt is. But you gotta...
The reason that is, the number you're looking at only shows you the interest owed on the loan, not the actual loan.
It gets me every time.
$13-14 trillion. That's just the interest owed on the original loan. See how that works, folks? Anybody who's ever had a loan, especially a large one like a car or a mortgage, you realize you end up paying almost double the original asking price of the piece of property. When you get done paying all the interest and penalties and you add all this other stuff, so this is what a lot of people don't add up and see. You just got to love government math, as I like to call it. Yeah, they're the ones who are teaching our children 2 plus 2 equals 4. When you look at their records, 2 plus 2 equals 5. Hello, wait a minute. You trust these same people to be writing our textbooks? I don't think so. Whew. See, folks, how we get crazy here on Thursdays. One thing leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. Little bit of madness, but if you stick with us, you're going to learn a lot and have some fun along the way, I hope. This editorial note, the reason I say dates, because it starts with dates. From May 2nd, 1936 to October 10th, 1939. I was a dues-paying member of the Communist Party, operating under my own name, Kenneth Goff, and also the alias John Keats. In 1939, I voluntarily, there's that. Remember I always told you yesterday, for those of us from yesterday, that word voluntarily, okay? That's a big issue in everything. Involuntary servitude and voluntary servitude. So he voluntarily appeared before the UN American Activities Committee in Washington, D.C. Now, I want to pause there for a minute. 1939, appeared before the UN American Activities Committee in Washington, D.C. Now, the reason I'm pausing on that, as someone who likes to play with dates, now, the UN came into effect after the, what's the first one? I always forget. Well, anyway, the United States refused to join. Our founders didn't have nothing to do with it. We were about isolationism. All right, just leave us alone.
46, 48, Doc.
Okay, well, the UN came to play in 45. That was the official birth date, if you will, that supposedly the United States became part of the UN. Well, now, wait a minute. If the supposedly official date, known to the public, was 1945, then why is this guy voluntarily appearing before the UN Committee in Washington in 1939? 6 years prior. So is our 1945 date that we're told the real date? Is it true that we never did join the original name of the so-called UN, or the UN until 1945? These are things that make me think, folks. These are the things that you'll start to pick up on, and you'll start to see as we go along. Just like yesterday when we were talking about George Washington, first president of the United States. Really? The Constitution was signed in 1776. George Washington became president in 1789. I'm sorry, but my math, 2 plus 2 equals 4. Their math just never seems to add up. But because we haven't been trained and taught to see these things and think about these types of occurrences, we just go along, we read the words, and move on. But that's why I'm here, because I'll help point out those indiscretions, if you will, the dates that don't line up. And it even goes to tell you that which was chairmaned at the time by Martin Dye, D-I-E-S. So he's even telling you who the chairman is. And my testimony can be found in Volume 9 of that year's Congressional Record. We can go to Volume 9. We can look up Congressional Records for 1939.
Yep, it's all online.
But it's 1945, right? Not 1939. Okay, well, let's move past these date things, They're trying to tell us, folks, the truth. We're just not listening. They tell us. They are so blatantly obvious, the New World. They tell us what they're going to do.
And have been doing.
I mean, every president you hear, New World Order, New World Order. All the Bushes, all the way back down to the Clintons. It goes and goes all the way back to Lincoln, and somewhere you're going to hear them talk about the New World Order. It's nothing new about the New World Order. It's been going on since Egyptian times, folks, since the day of the Pharaoh. This is nothing new. I don't know why they call it the New World Order. They should call it the Old World Order. Or the World Order yet to come. I mean, something. I mean, really, come on. But,
how about the Slow World Order? Because, I mean, holy smokes. This thing's been...
So much. The League of Nations, thank you. Post World War I, rejected or exposed demands on taste. Yeah, exactly. The United Nations headquarters complex was constructed in New York in 1949 to 1950 beside the East River on 17 acres of land purchased from, for the foremost, New York real estate developer of the time, William Zeckendorf. Thank you very much for that post in the chat room. Nelson Rockefeller arranged this purchase after an initial offer to locate it on the Rockefeller family estate at KQYT was rejected as being too isolated from Manhattan. New York's real name, right, folks? It's known as the Empire State. Hello. Where do we get the word empire? We usually associate that word with the Roman Empire. Just something to think about.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, we connecting dots tonight, huh, folks? Well, I don't know about you guys. I'm having a good time with this. This is why I love our Thursday night show. We can hit off on a million things and have a good time with it.
On the other hand,
participation in the chat room, folks. You can lead us down any rabbit hole you want. But great stuff. Thank you so much for posting that. I was going to say your name. It looks like I Am the Universe. There you go. That's the nickname. I'm trying to interpret the way he wrote that out there for his nickname in chat. Welcome to the chat room. Glad you could join us.
Yeah, that's a long name.
Yeah, and they're all grouped up like that, and my eyes aren't the best. So, going to post more, or she is posting more of that information, and it's great stuff. Please call in one day when you have time, and we'd like to talk about that in more detail. Seems like you really have that down and got your links together on that. We're open to every and any kind of topic here on Thursday, folks. We do also occasionally, for the newcomers, we do a Saturday show. Now, our Saturday show is not Community and the Constitution. Our Saturday show is Dance Party. From time to time, if there's nothing scheduled for that day, and I'm in a happy mood, I will get on, and I used to have my own DJ company back in the day. And I was, the master of ceremonies and did weddings and did all that other crazy stuff and was a singing and performer. I come from a very long line of performers, by the way. And every once in a while on a Saturday, I will usually try to let you know ahead of time. And you'll see the Saturday Dance Party or the Freedom Marines Dance Party be advertised. And we'll try to get that up on our Facebook page as well. And we'll sit there and we'll play dance music, all different kinds of genres and errors. And we just have a good old time and kick back and chat away for the night, if you will. And it's a lot of fun. Keeps us at it forward to, because it's not an every week occurrence. So we looked at this. We got the congressional record we can look up. All right. It says, during the period that I was a member of the Communist Party, I attended their school. Now get this. They had their own school at the time. It was located at 113 East Wells Street, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and operated under the name Eugene Debs Labor School. Whoa, there's that word, labor.
Aha.
Let's see what else is talked about here. Here we were trained in all phases of warfare, both psychological and physical, for the destruction of the capitalistic society and Christian civilization. In one portion of our studies, we went thoroughly into the matter of psychopolitics. This was the art of capturing the minds of a nation through brainwashing and fake mental health. The subjecting of whole nations of people to the rule of the Kremlin by capturing their minds. We were taught that the degradation of the populace is less inhumane than their destruction by bombs. For to an animal lives only once. Any life is sweeter than death. The end of a war is the control of a conquered people. If a people can be conquered in the absence of war, the end of war will have been achieved without the destructions of war. Now I'm going to stop there because I want to explain especially this last part, especially for those who may not have heard this. The Civil War, so-called Civil War, the war between nations, war between the states, has never ended, folks. It simply turned into a quiet war. Understand this? We will go into deeper detail of this as we go along. The Civil War, the so-called martial law declared by Lincoln, also known as the Lieber Code or the Lieber Code, has never ended. And that's something we're going to get into real deep on. We have lived our entire life under martial law. We are, in the Union, a conquered people. And they did so exactly as they outlined in their own textbook, that the people were conquered. Control of a conquered people. If a people can be conquered in the absence of war, the end of war will have been achieved without the destruction of that war. Now, there was a war, so it wasn't complete absence of a war, but the war has never ended. And we will break down martial law step by step, point by point.
I can't wait to get into that one.
Yeah, to clearly show, without a shadow of a doubt, that is what we're living under today. That is why, along with the 14th Amendment, everything is exactly the way it is today. It's all pre-planned. Trust me, they do absolutely nothing without knowing how the response by the general public is going to take it or is going to be. For every action, there is an opposite and equal reaction. And we need to teach ourselves not to react to their enticement, to their deceiving ways. Every single war that has ever been fought throughout history has been started because of a false event, a pre-planned, set in advance event. We can show that as well. I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's show. We're down to our about 9 minutes left here tonight. Boy, the time has flying. We're having such a great time tonight. I hope you guys are. I hope you weren't too bored. I know we've given you tons and tons of information. You've gotten a lot of links, and each one of those PDFs are going to lead you to more links. Again, like I had mentioned to our new people yesterday, take a breath. Take it slow, one step at a time. Do not overwhelm yourself. Because you can end up like me, where you start out one Friday just casually looking at something, and next thing you know, it's Monday morning and you gotta go to work. Like, wait a minute, I've been up for 3 days, or whatever it's been. So yeah, you can really become addicted, if you will, to truth. And I want you to become addicted to truth, but I want you to absorb it little by little. Spoon feeding. We're all being deprogrammed. We're all relearning what we should have been taught in the first place. Any other comments there, Jose? Or is there another sentence or two there you saw we want to hit?
Well, I don't know. You think I should break into the definition of states, nation, country, how it all ties in together in the Union, and the fact that the United States, if you know that the word state, nation, and country all mean the exact same thing, when you say United States and when you say United Nations, you're saying the same thing. Essentially, what we could say is United Nations of America, meaning the 50 states, united. Now you take that back far enough to when the colonies became states and got their independence from England. For that brief little moment, they were free and independent states, free and independent nations. So by all rights, and see, this is why they'll never let me walk into the United Nations building. By all rights, the United States, being the first and original United Nations, should, by all rights, be the first owner of the entirety of the UN as it is today. That's just my opinion. But it can be proven in law, so...
If it can be shown in law, it's not an opinion.
Right.
But we love putting in that. That's just our opinion. Now go research it yourself. And you'll see, no, it wasn't opinion, it's fact. So we love our show. We're trying to keep it very light tonight. We're not going into too depth because I know we have so many new students on board, and that's a great thing. And we're also students, folks. We're all learning. We're learning together. Like I said, I told you guys yesterday, tonight's show is a lot more open and free to topics, and we cover everything and anything here on Thursdays because it is the advanced stuff, and the advanced stuff, you got to take it, line by line. You can't jump in, read a 37-page document and expect everyone to pick up on all the little innuendos, the points that are trying to be made, without having the basics down first. And of course, like I said, it just gets to be boring and monotonous at that time. That's stuff you guys can read over and learn on your own. We're just here to point out the highlights to you, so when you do read over it, you start catching these things yourself. And that's just by practice, just by doing the studies, following along, and reading through the PDFs. And like I said, you'll be able to see more readily the salesman, the con artist, the snake, whatever the case may be, that's out there. Wednesday, heads up for Wednesday for everyone. For those of you whose first time here on Thursday night, our beginner show started last night. For our Wednesday night show classes, we will be getting the Patriot Misbelief document, and that is a biggie in the aspect of knowledge. That is what's going to help you understand and more readily and clearly and more quickly pick up on those agent provocateurs out there. It's going to break down the common words that we hear all the time, such as straw man and citizen sovereign citizens and free men on the land and admiralty law and all of that has been brought up over the years. So definitely tune in if you can. It's going to be 2 hours covering that document. Not too much playtime tomorrow. We're going to get down to business on the basic classes on Wednesdays are down to business for the most part. We'll try to keep it light, play a song here and there, especially since we're doing a lot of reading and talking. Need to wet that whistle every once in a while. But if you can, please, even if you're one of our regulars, if you got nothing else going in on Wednesday night, feel free to tune in, call in, help out our new members there in chat with any questions. We would greatly appreciate your help in that fashion as well. As always, God bless everyone. Be safe. We look forward to hearing from you Wednesday night. Boy, it does seem like it's so far away, but the week goes by so fast, and we cover so much information. Please feel free to email us. You can contact me. Visit me over there on the Freedom Marine site for our team in the forum. You can post me a note there, or you can send me a direct email at drmeola at netzero, netzero.net. But in the subject line, please put down show or PDF or something to that effect that's in question. Otherwise, I just delete them. Or put pack. Just put something I'm going to recognize. Pack, PDF, show question, whatever it may be. As long as you put that in the subject line, I will definitely read over it. It may take me a while to respond back to you in writing. 99% of the time, I will on air. Okay? So you always want to try to tune in to the show. If you can't tune into the live shows, folks, that's all right. Shortly after we're done, it is archived here at Blog Talk Radio. Simply look for the Freedom Marines show listings, find Community and the Constitution, and you'll be able to find all the archive shows from the past years. Not sure how far back we go back on BTR. Also on our YouTube channel, you can look up Freedom Marines. And again, look for Community and the Constitution there, and you can play from there. There's only a handful of episodes uploaded. Zach is our producer on that end. He is doing a fantastic job. He's doing the best he can. He's trying to get some of the archives put up there as well as the new shows as fast as he can, but he does this, again, voluntarily in his spare time as a regular job. So please, we just want to give a thank you out there to Zach. Keep up the great work. We greatly appreciate you. With that, I'm done. Jose?
Hey. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. I've enjoyed chatting with you guys here on the Blog Talk Radio chat. I look forward to chatting with you guys next Wednesday. I promise I'll have a lot more information, and I'm going to look up a lot more stuff. We've got some really intelligent listeners, Doc. We really do. We've got some semi-well-informed people here. I see we also have some bilinguals. Chris and everyone else on our normal chat, thank you very much for showing up. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate everybody on the Blog Talk listening to us. You guys have a good night. I think it's time for a song, Doc. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. We could do that. We actually just ran out of live airtime, but that's all right. They'll catch it in the archives. You have a song you want to hear tonight on the way out? Anything in particular?
Yeah, you know my favorite.
Which one?
Government Can.
I was like, well, with new listeners, maybe you'd pick a different one. But yeah, we have that played out for us for sure. The Government Can, everybody. Tim Hawkins. We'll catch you Wednesday night. Till then, be safe. God bless.